Next up, WTF. P&G wants to own the acronyms LOL, NSFW, and more.
And McDonald's wants to get in touch with its inner Banksy.
Consumers want brands to take sides on national issues.
And Mattel aims to close the dream gap for girls.
And it all starts right here, right now, on a whole new season of the one show where everybody's name is Rick.
And everybody rules the world.
Hey, wow. Season 2, Episode 1.
Dang, I can't believe it's been a year. This is legitimately, I mean, it feels like we do these all the time, but it legitimately has gone fast.
Yeah, it's just amazing. I just finished up what has become part 1 of the 2-part season 1 finale. And for me, it was a trip down memory lane. In fact, toward the end, I included a little segment of just random clips from the show. And I was literally laughing out loud. I mean, it was that much fun. So if you are a fan of Rick and Rick, you definitely want to download that episode the next time you need a hit of awesome, because you're going to have a good time.
That's cool. You know, after one of our shows recently where neither one of us could remember something, we kept like, oh my God, what is it? What is it? I got to search it, you know, da-da-da. It reminded me of a experience I had in college where a good friend of mine and I were taking our class together, and we had been cramming and trying to get this huge project done. And he was over at my house. We're working on it. It was 3, 4, 5 in the morning, whatever it was. And he needed to go home to get a couple hours sleep. And we had to then go in and turn in our final project. And so he got to the door, and, you know, we were trying to make plans for, okay, what are we going to do tomorrow? How do we get this last tiny bit finished up and then, you know, take it to the teacher? And so he started to say, you know, well, and then he got stuck, and he kept saying, I'm gonna, over and over again, until we were both just dying of laughter because, you know, we'd probably been, you know, pulled 2 all-nighters and had been working on this project forever. Clearly, we had planned ahead and had expected to do that as opposed to doing the work when it was due. Right. But anyways, that's what one of the shows reminded me of recently.
That's awesome. Yeah, I kind of want to listen to each of the full episodes again just one more time, just because I've forgotten it. It was just a lot of fun. I hope people will listen to it. I wanted to ask you, so the one thing that kind of hit my radar this week, this whole controversy, needless controversy, over whether Muppets are sexual.
Right, Bert and Ernie. I heard about this.
Yeah, I think it was a writer or something.
It was a writer.
Was it? So he was being interviewed, and he said that he, you know, didn't have any kind of agenda there. It's just when I was writing Bert and Ernie, they were a gay couple, and he said that you know, he just didn't have any other way to contextualize them. And so, and then apparently, just everybody went crazy, and Sesame Workshop, I guess, weighed in and said, no. As we've always said, Bert and Ernie are best friends. Blah blah blah. And I got to thinking,
and they said they're Muppets. They have no sexuality.
Yeah. And so people started debating, well, is that true? And when I was thinking about it, I thought, I don't see Grover or Beaker or Scooter getting many dates. But if you're going to say that Muppets aren't sexual, somebody better tell Miss Piggy, because I don't think she got the memo. Girlfriend's had the hots for Kermie Wormy for like, what, a couple decades now?
Oh, God, at least probably going on 50 years at this point.
Right. So anyway, just thought that was funny.
I thought it was interesting because this is one of those scenarios where, you know, probably Jim Henson had no intention of making, you know, these Muppets at all sexual.
Right.
You know, I mean, yes, they inevitably, you know, this was kind of a boy puppet and that was kind of a girl puppet or whatever. And so there was kind of a gender that was involved there. But apparently, I read this article as well. And what the writer was saying is he was in a relationship, and, you know, he was picturing his gay partner. And that's, you know, a lot of the writing that he had done for Bert and Ernie was, you know, kind of that interplay between him and his partner, which I think is kind of cool. It adds some depth to it. But I don't think that's enough to say, you know, oh, well, you know, the whole thing is just that. I mean, I don't know. At the end of the day, look, it's a kid's thing. It wasn't supposed to be making a political statement. Let's just let it not make a political statement. You know what I mean?
I'm with you on that. And Kermie will be glad to hear that too.
Yeah. Well, Kermit's still running for Mrs. Piggy,
Yeah.
so
Well, it's not easy being green.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so when we come back, it is going to be time for the good, the bad, and the marketing. So stay tuned. Hey, Rick and Rick Nation, don't forget to check out our website at rickandrick.com. It's double the Rick in just one click at rickandrick.com. All right, we are back. Welcome back to Rick and Rick Rule the World, and it is time for the good, the bad, and the marketing. One big story this week. This kind of thing ticks me off. So Procter & Gamble is attempting to trademark many of the acronyms that you see in internet communications, like FOMO, F-O-M-O, for fear of missing out, TLDR, too long to read, WTF, and FML, which is interesting. So my understanding is that they are being asked by the U.S. Patent Office to actually clarify what LOL will mean in their trademark application, but somehow didn't ask what WTF is or FML, and I'm not going to say it on the show today. You can look it up if you're not familiar with that particular acronym. This kind of thing really ticks me off when brands try to appropriate and own, literally trademark and lock down expressions that are used in popular conversation.
This is one of those ones where, in my opinion, they're doing this for a publicity stunt because there's no way this one would hold up. Right. So the only way that would work is if they could prove that there wasn't somebody who had used it before them. And we already know that these terms have been so widely used that people could show, case after case after case of something that has been used. And so this wouldn't hold up. Nobody could enforce these.
Yeah. I mean, it is similar to, if you think about it, the phrase just do it. It's obviously used by everyone forever, but because Nike was able to very quickly associate that phrase with its shoes, now it would be infringement against the brand if another brand used just do it. And I think they're attempting to do something like that. Still think it's lame. And for all we know, it could be that they're going to have fun with those acronyms and make them mean something else. I have to believe that, because how are you going to use FML? I mean, you're not going to be able to use that, or AF. I don't know if that's in the mix of ones that they have applied for, but yeah, definitely not something that you can just throw around in most consumer packaged goods advertising. So we'll see how that all plays out.
Yeah, I don't know. But I think this might be just a publicity stunt. This is kind of like, I don't know, renaming your restaurant International House of Burgers. It's not something that they really did. It's something that they did just for attention.
Also, this story about Banksy, the artist known as Banksy, who had a big sale at auction. Tell listeners about that.
Yeah, I think this article actually hit about the middle of the month, middle of October. It was absolutely fascinating. I love Banksy's work. I've always thought it was really cool. Would love to hang one up in the house, or maybe even paint one on my own wall. And he's always had a knack for taking things that are of high political value, but projecting them in a way that is really approachable and makes you think and is really interesting, right? The little girl handing a flower to the soldier, that sort of thing. Or, the guy that looks like he's going to throw a grenade, but it's a bouquet of flowers. So he's always had these cool metaphors that he's worked within. And so he decided, I guess, to auction off one of his pieces of art. And I think it was, I'm not positive, I think it was Sotheby or somebody like that was actually doing the auction. And it's sold for 1 million pounds, right? So it's this framed piece of art. It's a little girl with a balloon that was heart shaped. It was very cool. And just as the auction ended, and just as they go to probably take it off the stage or whatever, apparently built into the frame was a shredder.
Right.
And so all of a sudden, this 1 million pound, I mean, I don't know what that is. That's got to be what, $1.25 million US. This piece of art shreds halfway down.
And you're thinking, dang, is the guy thoroughly pissed off, or now is this thing worth 10 million pounds?
Exactly. And so Sotheby's is like, holy crap, we don't know what to do. Do we refund the person's money? I mean, I suppose they hadn't even taken the money at that point, but do we nullify the auction, or does this make it more valuable? Right. And so they went back and forth for like a week or so. And I guess the person who bought it said, you know what? I want it. I'll still pay the $1 million for it.
Yeah, so the shredded pieces are dangling from it, correct?
Correct. It only shredded halfway down. It didn't actually go all the way.
That is so funny. Now, do you know, did they know if it was remote controlled or was it set to some timer?
I've heard all kinds of stuff. I haven't seen, an official response to it. It was built into the frame, which you would have thought somebody could have noticed that, but whatever. And the first article I saw said, oh, it was probably remotely triggered, a cell phone or something like that. Who knows? Who knows? Whatever it is, it's cool. It's genius. It's everything we've come to expect from him.
Yeah, it didn't take long for marketers to jump in with their own versions of this. McDonald's did takes on this. I believe at least one of them was on Instagram, where it showed the McDonald's kind of logo on a red background upside down, and then it proceeds to shred, and what it looks like is French fries are coming out of it. So you clearly see that it is a container of French fries done in the Banksy style. I thought that was brilliant to come up with that so quickly and to use it that way. It got far more buzz than the cost of putting it on Instagram.
Absolutely. I thought that was clever, and how quickly they responded was amazing. Yeah. Although Banksy probably doesn't like it. That's the kind of thing he rages against.
There's a new study out from YouGov that finds that 59% of US consumers would rather buy from brands that take sides on national issues. We saw Taylor Swift come out and give an official endorsement for this upcoming midterm election, for instance, and it got a lot of interest from folks. So I don't know, we're looking at kind of a change here because people used to get in trouble for this stuff.
Here's I agree, by the way, that last part is so important. It used to be that companies would stay away from this sort of thing because they didn't want to polarize. And when you polarize, you cut out 50% of the audience, right? And so honestly, it still makes sense not to do this.
Yeah,
it absolutely makes sense not to do this. The problem is you've got a few companies whose products are so strong that even if somebody gets pissed off at the company, you're not going to not buy their products, right? There's only one company who makes an iPhone, as an example.
Right. Or so, Nike, for instance, with Colin Kaepernick and that whole series, it alienated a lot of consumers, but sales went up dramatically. And you think about it, that is an example of a brand that can get away with that kind of thing because its audience probably is not, it will skew younger, so it's probably safe to bet where their politics are. And so it was probably not as much of a risk as people thought, but it could have turned into boycotts. I'm sure it has, but apparently sales are up dramatically for them.
Well, that was an initial burst. Let's see how it goes for the long term, because again, if you choose a polarizing topic, you may end up alienating half of the audience, right? I mean, if we look at the votes for the last election, the last presidential election, it wasn't 50-50, but it wasn't far off of it.
Right.
And so you end up in a scenario where you might piss off a lot of your buyers, and you got to be careful with that. And I saw somebody today. We stay away from politics for the most part, but and this isn't going too deep into it. But I saw a good friend today who posted something about, get out there, vote. We can't let this election be like the last one, and da 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 da. And I thought, man, you're taking a risk here, because we know that a lot of people don't see the same as each other right now. This is a time where we're so polarized, right? And on both sides of the arguments, that by telling people get out there and vote, you may be actually, asking for the wrong thing. You may get the people out there voting against you.
Be careful what you aim for there.
Exactly.
So another story out this week, Mattel's Barbie is championing awareness of the dream gap, which is the split that comes between girls and their full potential. So apparently they've got a new campaign that will help fund or promote the end of the dream gap for children. And what's interesting is they do have some interesting spots. They've got videos and with sort of interesting factoids like young girls are 3 times less likely to be given a science-related toy, or that parents are twice as likely to Google search, is my son gifted, than they are, is my daughter gifted. And they're working with universities to, I think it's New York University and Princeton and at least one other, to promote a different way of thinking about what we should expose girls to in terms of learning and what our expectations should be, so that there isn't a gender gap there. I think it's a great idea. If anything, it would be like, hey, better late than never. It seems like Barbie and Mattel should have launched this kind of thing years ago, but kudos for them to doing it now. It feels a lot like Dove's campaign for Real Beauty from Unilever and
it
the
does.
Like a Girl campaign, especially from P&G's Always brand. And not only is this stuff good corporate citizenship, and this is frankly a societal issue that I feel good about a brand taking. It is just a societal issue that we need to tackle, and it's also great brand building. Dove and Always, they've seen sizable increases in sales. I know from Dove, I mean, double-digit growth in a lot of markets around the world.
No, I love this. You and I talked a while ago about a Netflix series called The Toys That Made Us, and one of the toys that they focus on actually was Barbie.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that episode was really, really powerful. It was interesting to see how the company Mattel had matured through the years.
Yeah.
And they started bringing out things like, scientist Barbie dolls and things like that.
Astronaut Barbie and others.
Exactly. And the diversity where they started bringing out, different ethnic backgrounds. And it's cool to see them continue that evolution. I think this is a powerful project for them to work on.
Good job, Barbie. When we come back, it is time for
Loaded questions.
So stay tuned. It's Double the Rick in just one click at rickandrick.com. All right, we are back with Rick and Rick Rule the World, and it is time for Rick and Rick
Loaded questions.
So you can play at home. Rick Wooten will be playing in studio, and let's see how well everybody does here. First up, White Castle VP of Marketing Kim Bartley recently admitted to which of the following? So White Castle VP of Marketing recently admitted to which of the following? A, preferring Big Macs to sliders. Bad news. B, spending a night binging on a White Castle pack of waffle sliders, fish nibblers, and beer, which would be pretty gross, come to think of it. C, spending a year as a vegetarian. Or D, spending too much on a new Maserati. Which do you think?
I have no idea. Let's do the binge one, the one that ate the sliders or waffles or whatever it was.
Yeah, that's B, spending a night binging on a White Castle pack of waffle sliders. I think there's like 7 sliders in those. Fish nibblers, which just sounds gross. And beer. Unfortunately, that is not the answer. The answer was C. So according to Ad Age, Chief Marketing Officer and VP of Marketing Kim Bartley admitted to recently spending a year as a vegetarian after White Castle's failed attempt to add salads. And apparently they also tried a veggie slider, which really didn't do that well either. But it did help pave the way, apparently, for a far more successful offering called Impossible Slider, which is made of a meat-like substance that's meat-free. So kind of surprising to have a White Castle VP of Marketing go vegetarian for a year. Pretty big of her to admit it.
Yeah, absolutely. They really are pushing these Impossible Sliders. My kids and I actually drove up to San Francisco. Oh, this must have been 6 months ago, maybe 9. Oh, let's see. Yeah, it was probably about 6 months ago. And there was a place in San Francisco serving the Impossible Burger. We decided, you know what? We hear this thing tastes like beef. We want to go try it. We drove all the way up there, and they were sold out.
Oh.
So we're quite disappointed. So I still haven't tried an Impossible Burger. I want to go find somewhere that has them and get there when they still have them in stock.
Question number 2. Last seen during the Super Bowl, this CPG brand campaign has made a return visit to the NFL during Thursday Night Football recently. A, Pringles Stackers Wow, which we remember well from our big Super Bowl episodes. B, Tide, it's a Tide commercial. C, Mr. Clean's Clean AF, just kidding. Or D, Hefty's Cray Cray Party Moms Get Turned. Which of these has come back to the NFL?
I think with the Mr. Clean one, you're supposed to say Mr. Clean AF, TM. I'm going to go Pringles. I've seen a Pringles commercial on a football game, so I think that's it.
Oh, well, interesting, because I could be wrong then. The answer here was B, Tide. It's a Tide commercial is returning for Thursday Night Football, but it's possible if you've seen it that Pringles already had the Wow campaign out there. I'm going to give you that one.
All right.
All right, question number 3. This Halloween, U.S. consumers are expected to A, tune in for the 29th edition of The Simpsons Halloween Treehouse of Horror. B, tune in for the 30th edition of The Simpsons Halloween Treehouse of Horror. C, spend $3.2 billion on Halloween costumes led by 1 princesses, 2 superheroes in general, 3 Batman characters in particular, and 4 Star Wars characters. Or D, spend nearly $2.6 billion on delicacies like Snickers, Reese's, M&Ms, and coffee makes me poop gum. E, all of the above except B. Or F, all of the above except for D. Which of these are consumers expected to
I'm
do?
going to say all of the above except for D.
Oh, so close. No. So the correct answer is E, all of the above except for B. So technicality here.
Oh,
It
right.
stands
Because
to reason that this is the 30th edition of The Simpsons Halloween Treehouse of Horror, but it is not. They started that 1 year into the show. So it's the 29th edition this year. In addition to that, according to the National Retail Federation, U.S. consumers will spend $3.2 billion on Halloween costumes, led by superheroes generically, Batman characters specifically, and Star Wars characters chiastically. Plus, they will spend $2.6 billion, which I feel like I've already spent, and it's not even Halloween, on candy, including Snickers, Reese's, M&Ms, and such novelty candies. These are real candies like coffee makes me poop gum, bacon and cheese flavored crickets, and more. So in all, consumers will spend $9 billion on Halloween crap this year.
Wow, that is incredible.
Question 4 out of 5 here. Question 4. According to a recent Adweek article entitled How Mr. Rogers Taught Me Everything I Need to Know About Marketing, which by the way is about a career in marketing and not the actual act of marketing, which of the following is not one of those principles? A, be inclusive of ideas, differences of opinion, and ways to get things done. B, learn to apologize for hurt feelings, misunderstandings, and problems requiring remediation. C, learn to apologize for your stupid ideas. D, learn to apologize for your stupid ideas, especially that one you had last week. Or E, both C and D, but probably not A and B. Which of these? Which of these were not part of the thing that Adweek said Mr. Rogers taught?
Definitely. D was the one that was C and so E, which was not C and D.
Yes, the answer is E, both C and D, but definitely not A and B. So this article included such Mr. Rogers inspired advice, such as be inclusive of ideas, differences of opinion, and the way to get things done. Learn to apologize for hurt feelings, misunderstandings, and problems requiring remediation, as well as don't ever be afraid to admit you don't know, be kind, and more. Well, you're doing actually pretty darn great this edition of
Loaded questions.
I have a feeling you're going to nail number 5 here as well. According to Marketing Land, a new consumer gadget called Portal is which of the following? A, a new video chat device from Facebook. B, the second sign of the apocalypse. C, a new video chat device from Facebook that uses artificial intelligence to react to callers' movements by automatically panning in and zooming out and adjusting sound levels appropriately. D, a new chat device from Facebook that uses Amazon Alexa, thereby positioning the device as a competitor to Google Home and Apple's HomePod. E, A, C, and D. Or F, A, C, D, and B, depending on your point of view.
So for sure B was no. So A and C were correct. I didn't know that D was correct, but if those are my options, that must mean that it does use Alexa. I didn't realize it did.
So you are actually choosing E, A, C, and D?
Yes.
And you are correct. Yes. So Portal, and I guess there's another device, Portal Plus, coming out a little bit later. There are these new video chat devices from Facebook that could transform chat and even social media by bringing it into the living room, or it's this year's version of the Facebook phone that took the nation by storm. It does use AI to react to callers' movements by automatically panning in and zooming out and adjusting sound levels based, I guess, on how what the person is doing, which I think sounds pretty cool. And it does use Amazon Alexa, thereby positioning the devices as competitors to Google Home and Apple's HomePod. And given the fun that we've all had with Cambridge Analytica and other incidents in recent times, it could very well also be the second sign of the apocalypse, depending on your point of view. So technically the answer is F, but I am going to give you the score because in the main correct. So good job this episode. Wow, you're on top of things.
Yeah, I missed one hardcore for sure. Yeah. I think 2 actually. this kind of thing's interesting. If you flash back to the 70s, the worst thing that could possibly happen was the government would put all kinds of cameras and microphones in our homes, and everybody was afraid of it.
Now
we do it for them.
Yeah,
that's right. And in fact, we have a new device that will follow us around the house and always have a view of what we're doing. So be careful when you go out and get a drink of milk in the middle of the night. It may catch you in your skivvies in the kitchen.
Actually, that part I wouldn't mind. Totally joking. I think that actually is going to wrap it up on this episode of Rick and Rick Rule the World. Thanks so much to Rick Wooten, and thank you everybody for listening here in our season 2 of Rick and Rick Rule the World. Please tune in next time for the one show where everybody's name is Rick and everybody rules the world.
Thanks so much, everyone.